Breaking news, Eagle Nation, the Birds have just signed another defensive lineman. We'll break down the details of that, but could they potentially draft another one to pair with some old buddies? What is going on, everyone? Welcome into A to Z Philly, your number one home for Eagles coverage. Hit the like button if you enjoy these videos. Be sure to subscribe down below and hit that bell as well so you don't miss any of the coverage. We'll be breaking all of it down leading up to next month's NFL draft. The Eagles actually just made a signing. It's one of those times where you're getting ready to talk about something and boom, some news drops. So we'll talk about that contract. We'll break down the details and we'll also get into a hypothetical for the number 10 overall pick. But before we jump right into it, shout out to our sponsor here of today's video, BetMGM. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using code ATOZPA and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. Find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Sign up today with bonus code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Pennsylvania only. New customer offer. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. MLB opening day today. Go ahead and make yourself a winner with BetMGM. All right, let's get into it. So just as of moments ago, the Philadelphia Eagles come out and they make a signing. Per Adam Schefter, the Eagles are signing former Saints D tackle Kentavius Street. Per sources, Street racked up 6 sacks, which actually is not true. It's actually 3 sacks or 3.5 when you go and look. For some reason, they kind of count like more sacks or they count it as a whole sack according to PFF, but it's actually 3.5 sacks for the New Orleans Saints last season on the 518 snaps that he played. Street now joins safety Justin Evans as the second free agent this offseason to go from New Orleans to Philadelphia. And to also add on to that, it seems like Howie Roseman kind of has a weird fetish when it comes to the New Orleans Saints, or at least trying to fleece them, right? He goes out last year, gets C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's obviously no longer a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Then he gets Justin Evans. Then he gets Kentavius Street. And yeah, now he goes and picks up another depth piece. And that's exactly what this is. This, to me, is a guy, whether it's on the second unit or the third unit that comes in the third line, you know, gives the starters a break, a refresh. This is what that is. A guy who's going to probably be out there at training camp and get some reps and see what he can do. You can never have too much in the trenches. I say this every single time. And that's why I said recently, I think the Eagles are going to draft in the trenches because Howie Roseman loves these type of pieces. Could this piece potentially deter them away from that? I don't know. But, you know, they're bringing some of their guys back. Now they go sign another depth piece, and I expect more to happen in this category. Speaking of which, Howie Roseman was on the Kelsey Brothers podcast, the New Heights show, and there was a huge, long interview. I definitely recommend giving it a listen. Howie's great to listen to, you know, kind of, you know, dive into the ideology and some of the methods that he utilizes. But one thing that I thought was great, and he was talking to Jason Kelsey, and this is what he had to say about the city of Philadelphia. And you remember what I said at the beginning of the offseason? Howie had that look in his eyes. He got to the dance. He finally got back, and he was, you know, down talked. He was downplayed for years, and he finally got that taste again. And he's like, you know what? I want it. I see a look right now in the eyes of Howie Roseman that I have not seen since 2017. Like, he is hungry. He wants it. He wants it bad. And here's what he had to say about Philadelphia. Quote, "I think it does raise all of our levels. It gets us going because of the attention and energy that it takes, and knowing that when you win, it's even better. We're competitive, and you hear stuff and want to say, bleep you." So, you know, he talked about that. He talked about just the passion, the vibes. He talked about, you know, going into a potential rebuild versus retool. He talked about some of the players getting contracts and a bunch of things. But the journey of Howie Roseman has been absolutely insane to follow. And, you know, he's been here a long time, and he's done a damn good job last offseason, obviously, and now this offseason so far, continuing to rack up pieces where he can. You know, he's going to go through every little complication to try to figure out every little loophole. He will do his due diligence for sure. Speaking of which, though, the NFL draft coming up, the Eagles have 2 first-round picks, and the Eagles had another top 30 interview, which, by the way, doesn't mean a lot. However, there is speculation surrounding Nolan Smith out of the University of Georgia. And this was posted on a Twitter page, NFL Rookie Watch, but it was circulating through a couple feeds. And Nolan Smith was kind of asked, about that interview. How did it go recently? And apparently he was ecstatic about the Philadelphia Eagles. Here's what he had to say. Quote, he had an amazing top 30 visit with the Eagles this past week. Smith said that the Eagles organization just seems like a, quote, perfect fit for him. If Smith is selected by the Eagles, he would be able to reunite with Georgia teammates Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, draft picks from last year. And Smith said it would be a, quote, dream come true to play with his guys again. Sources tell me, not actual sources, but my own brain tells me, yeah, he wants to be here. He wants to be in Philadelphia. He's looking at the type of run this team went on. He's looking at some of the cats coming back for another year. He's saying, not only do I have a chance to win, not only do I have a chance to start my career off in a great atmosphere with great coaches, with a great vibe of a city, but I have a chance, just like in college, to go out there and try to win again and learn from some of the best. He wants to be here. Now, when it comes to Howie Roseman, I think it's interesting, when you think about Nolan Smith, could this guy be a top 10 draft pick? Because essentially, a lot of people are talking about number 10. Could he fall down to number 30? That's another question. But we'll look at his actual draft profile. Here are actually some of the predictions from people and insiders around the league. Eagles, Vikings, Titans at 11, 13 to the Jets. But then there's a couple more Eagles. So he is starting to slowly become a potential favorite for the Eagles at number 10. And would Howie Roseman go with this guy? I think it's interesting because he likes to go, especially in recent years, for the high-profile schools, for the high-profile players. He's heard a lot of slack about some of his, draft choices before then. And look at how some of the other picks have worked out. The Jordan Davis, the Devontae Smith, Nakobe Dean, like all these types of players come from the big schools. Obviously, all the Alabama guys like Jalen Hurts and such. Howie Roseman, I believe, is going to stay with that type of strategy because it has worked. And Nolan Smith, obviously coming off a national championship, fits right into that mold. He said he would love to play with his teammates again. And I think this guy is going to be on the radar of Howie Roseman. Will he take him though? My gut feeling says no. I think he would be a good player for the system. When I watch him, he reminds me a little bit of a Hassan Reddick prototype. The way you're able to move him around, and he can kind of get that quick first burst off of the line of scrimmage and go attack the quarterback. At the same time, it is hard to grade these guys, and it's hard to kind of evaluate what will translate to the next level. We'll look at his draft profile in a second, but I definitely think this will be a guy that is on the radar. But I actually could see him slipping just a little bit, and the reason is because of his build. Now, when we look at his draft profile, 6'2", 238, he's an outside linebacker. He almost can be a little bit of a hybrid, kind of move around, but he can attack the quarterback as well. Now, it says Smith was rated the top overall prospect in 2019. He ran a 4.39 in the 40 this year, 1.52 in the 10-yard split, 41.5 vertical jump. The Georgia native went to IMG for 2 years, won Defensive Player of the Year award. So, this guy's had a high profile for a while, went to a high profile school, and he was the co-winner of the Bulldogs Defensive Newcomer in 2019, 18 tackles, 2.5 sacks. Then in 2021, he broke out at 22 tackles, 2.5, or in 2021, he had 14 games with 56 tackles, 9 for loss with 3.5 sacks. The second year, he had 2.5 sacks. And then Smith started the first 8 games of the Bulldogs' 2022 title march with 18 tackles and 7 for loss with 3 sacks before suffering a season-ending torn pectoral muscle. So coming off an injury, and this is the one reason I think this guy could slip a little bit. They talk about it here when you look at his weaknesses, and down here it says, sources tell us, and National Scouts says, quote, you have to worry about him holding up for 17 games with his size. I'm not worried about the toughness, but I just don't know if he can carry more weight without it slowing him down. Now, again, you watch him, he's very explosive, he's quick right off the line of scrimmage, and he seems a little bit elusive as well. But at the same time, when you translate, this is the hardest part, how can this guy grade up against NFL linemen? These aren't kids anymore. These are grown men. Will he be able to stay healthy? And will he be able to put on more muscle, without it affecting his game too much. And I do think that is a fair point. Some of the strengths, rare point of attack leverage strength for his size, plays with a team first mindset, able to attack pulling blocks, first with hands to separate and stays ready. So again, one thing I like to look at is the IQ. How smart is the player? And will they be able to adapt to an NFL type of locker room as well? Now, there were a few things recently that I read and heard about in terms of this guy, in terms of a little legal trouble, right? He had like a couple misdemeanors. I don't think they ended up becoming anything too serious, but there were some things going on with the whole Georgia situation. So definitely something to keep your mind on. The Eagles usually do not like to lean towards players with those types of things. But at the end of the day, it's really about, can his frame translate to the NFL? If it does, this guy could be, one of those gems, right? One of those diamonds in the rough that ends up being, maybe a 10, 15 sack guy per year. Do the Eagles really need that right now with Hassan Reddick, with the rest of the guys? Is this quality for a number 10 pick? I think when you draft a guy in the first half of the first round, they have to be a dynamic playmaker. They have to be a game changer in some sorts. Can Nolan Smith be that guy? Well, that's up to Howie and the evaluation team. I still have a feeling Howie's going with a strict guy in the trenches. I know it's not the sexy pick, but I just have a feeling either that or a trade back. I could see him trading back as well, stockpiling more future assets. I just don't think Howie's going to make a sexy pick, but I do think he will pick a guy from an elite program. So maybe Nolan Smith is the guy at 10. Give me all your thoughts down below in the comments section. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And with that being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.